It is a place that dwells in the memory of those who still dream of its ancient glory. A world revered for its beauty, mystery, and danger. On a planet of endless adventure, such a land is known as El Hazard. If your spirit has wings to travel, even across the breadth of 1,000,000,000 nights, imagination will guide the way, and the gates of El Hazard will always be open to you. And that's how El Hazard the Magnificent World opens the show. Again, like the two previous anime I've reviewed, I vaguely heard about this anime left and right, then it somehow faded into obscurity, then I just didn't care at the time, I was focusing on other things, yada yada yada. It wasn't until I have seen another review by Who Is Your Anime about this show a while back that I wanted to go and check the show out myself. And it turns out there was a couple sequels and a TV spin-off, so it was hard to find specifically the original, the Prime series, The Magnificent World. Whenever I find the show, I end up finding a copy of The Wanderers or The Alternative World instead. Well, one FYE stopped later in the summer. I found both volumes of the original Magnificent World and picked it up as soon as possible. And I gotta say, for Tenchi's sister series, it was rough around some edges, but overall, it was really good. It was a fun adventure science fantasy series, and I do want to check out the other shows they released afterwards. El Hazard the Magnificent World is a 7-episode science fiction harem anime directed by Hiroki Hayashi, who also directed the first OVA series of Tenchi Muyo. The story is about a mysterious blue-haired girl that was in the ruins under Shinonome High School that claims to know one of the students, Makoto Mizuhara, and she transports him, 2 other students, and a teacher into the world of El Hazard. In the world of El Hazard, Makoto and his teacher Masamichi Fujisawa get caught in the middle of a war between the Kingdom of the Rashtaria Alliance and the Bugram Empire. They also learn from the Princess of Rashtaria, Rune Venus, that her sister Fatora is missing, and Makoto actually bears a resemblance to her. So Princess Rune and her chief servant Lan suggest that he disguises himself as Fatora in order to calm down the rest of the Alliance and their security by saying that they will unlock and activate their ultimate weapon, a dimensional weapon called the Eye of God, which looks a lot like a Death Star, in order to defeat the Bugrams on the opposite side of the Holy River of God. So Makoto, Fujisawa, and their other companion Aliel have to meet the 3 Muldoon priestesses in order to unlock the Eye of God. Meanwhile, another student, Katsuhiko Jinai, gets transported near a set of Bugrams, managed to communicate with them, and he meets the Bugram Queen Diva, who she believes is a messenger of God that is sent to lead the Bugrams to victory. Janai, being a power-hungry egomaniac, accepts this title in order to take over El Hazard. Oh, did I mention Janai is actually one of the big antagonists in the series? Whew, that was a lot to summarize. That was actually almost half of the first episode I was talking about. Thankfully, the first and last episodes are about 45 minutes long, while episodes in between are about 25 minutes or so. As I said before, this anime is really damn good, but not without its flaws. One of them being that some of the characters just weren't developed enough, even though I wish they were. 2 examples I like to point out are Queen Diva and Afra Man. However, some of the characters that they do focus on are very interesting and have some unique quirks about them. We'll start with our protagonist, Makoto Mizuhara. Don't let him in drag fool you. Compared to other harem protagonists, he's pretty above average. I mean, he doesn't come off as pathetic at least. Other than playing decoy, his role starts off being on the small side but grows much more as the series progresses. He even is willing to take risk when El Hazard is being threatened. Plus, he does have a pretty good power that I really can't reveal for spoiler reasons. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the people who get transported into El Hazard actually gain a special power. Such as Mr. Fujisawa, whose power is superhuman strength only when he is sober, and that's going to be a problem because one of his biggest character flaws is that he's a binge-drinking alcoholic. Then there's Nanami Jinai, younger sister Katsuhiro Jinai, and her ability is to see through disguises and illusions from the Phantom Tribe, another group of antagonists in the series with their own evil intentions and goals. And I've mentioned Katsuhiro before, but I can't stop talking about him, cause goddamn, is he a character I kinda love to hate. The fact that he's a high school student with a power-hungry ego trip that nearly makes him inhuman. It's amazing how psychotically awesome this character is. He even has like a sick, annoying, dreadful laugh that rivals Slayer's own Naga the Serpents. Well, that's all the characters from, well, our world. Let's move on to some of the characters in El Hazard. We have Aliel, a lesbian that fawns over, well, anyone with a pair of breasts. She seriously likes to wrap her arms around any woman. Shayla, Nanami, you name it. And she's actually the lesbian lover of Princess Fatora, and one day she snuck into her bed, not realizing that was Makoto in disguise, and yeah, hilarity ensues in the next episode. Unfortunately, other than being comic relief and a bit of a tour guide in the first few episodes, she really does not do anything that helpful, sadly enough. And next we have the three Muldoon priestesses, Shayla-shayla, Afro-Man, and Ms. Mishtal, the latter of the three having the hots for Mr. Fujisawa. Of the three I like Shayla-shayla the most. She's hot-tempered, looks and acts badass, has a very bizarre firepower that requires her to like rev up her little wrist device the way you start up a lawnmower. And I know the people who have seen El Hazard might notice I left out two more characters that should be worth mentioning, since both of their roles are pretty big in the series, but even if I reveal a little shred about them, that's giving away too much, and it looks like I covered a lot. Oh, but there's one more thing I want to mention. Ura the cat. All I can say about Ura is that she's a cat that functions as body armor. You heard me. Cat armor. Damn. Alright, moving on. The animation is done by Studio AIC. I've mentioned them before on my Oh My Goddess review, and they've also done Tenchi Muyo as well, and El Hazard definitely looks more like Tenchi Muyo instead of Oh My Goddess. Admittedly, the quality does come off as a little weaker at times, animation is almost a bit inconsistent, but I still think it's really good. I do enjoy the exotic character designs of the Bugrams and the people of El Hazard, not to mention the overall world of El Hazard. It has Arabian architecture and a bit of Arabian feel to it, but at the same time, while they do have deserts, there's also a bunch of lush jungle environments. Oh yes, and since it's an anime, and a harem one to boot, obligatory hot springs, and you wouldn't believe how they shoehorned it into El Hazard too. The music was provided by Seikyo Nagaoka, and the anime was dubbed by Genion. I do love the soundtrack. Honestly, I wish I could own the score. The opening theme is very beautiful. Can't really get it out of my head. And the closing credits song, admittedly, it took a while for me to like. It was so cheesy and happy-go-lucky, and it even juxtaposed some of the dark cliffhangers in a couple of episodes. And the rest of the soundtrack definitely sounds pretty similar to Tenchi's score, not that I'm complaining. As for the English dub, a friend of mine was told by other friends of his that this is a case of the English dub being better over the Japanese. I wouldn't know since I didn't see the Japanese version of the show yet, but the English dub itself was really good, and at the same time it doesn't take itself seriously. Such cases include some funny one-liners, like when Makoto and Fujisawa heard a girl screaming off in the middle of the forest. Fujisawa, realizing he was out of alcohol, actually goes, "Oh shit, someone else is out of alcohol!" And not to mention, Genai actually named some of the Bugram soldiers after the Marx Brothers and Margaret. Speaking of the Bugrams, they actually speak in garbled up, distorted French. And that's how silly the dub can get, and I'm okay with that. Oh, by the way, did you know the voice actress who played Shayla-shayla in this is also the voice actress of Motoko Kusanagi from the original Ghost in the Shell? That's the only other voice actor I just wanted worth mentioning. So in the end, El Hazard, The Magnificent World is probably going to fall into one of my top favorite harem anime now. The characters are great, save for a few underdeveloped ones, the world itself is rather unique, and while it doesn't have a lot of fight scenes, the other action moments are definitely more gripping and make me want to watch more. Thankfully, there are a few sequels and spin-offs. Although I heard one of the shows, I'm not going to specify which one, was a shot to the foot, but I might still give it a chance anyways. Fans of Tenchi. Here's the sister series. If you haven't seen El Hazard yet, give it a chance. Fans of sci-fi adventure and typical 90s anime norms, give it a chance. This was worth a watch. I hope you enjoyed this final chapter of the 90s edition of Anime Reviews, and with that said, this is Darkscreen217 signing out, and I do have some plans of my own for future reviews. Take care.